All right, so today we're going to start with Unit 4, which deals with triangles. Okay, everything triangles. And we're going to start with classification of triangles today.
Yes, you go.
But before we do that, we need to define what a triangle is. Can anybody tell me what a triangle is?
Shape.
It's a what?
A shape.
Yeah, it is a shape. Is it a two-dimensional shape or a three-dimensional shape? It's two-dimensional. So it can be classified as a polygon. Okay, because the polygon is two-dimensional. Okay, so here's what I want you to write down for the definition of a triangle. It is a polygon, and I'm going to put in parentheses 2D, means two-dimensional. It's got a length and a width, has no height. It is a polygon with 3 angles, and most people talk about the sides, but the definition triangle means 3 angles, okay? And it also has 3 sides, okay? Now, before we get started, I need some background information. When you talk about classifying triangles and you talk about angles and sides, what you need to understand is how we show 2 angles are equal to each other and how we show 2 angles or 2 sides are equal to each other. So if I want to show that side AC and BC are equal, I use what we call tick marks. So I put a tick mark there and a tick mark there. That shows those 2 sides are congruent. Okay, we know the word congruent means same size, same shape, or equal to each other. Okay, if I want to show that third side's equal, I would do that. Now all 3 sides are equal. If I want to do this, now all 3 sides are what? Not equal to each other, because they all have 3 different tick marks on them. I do the same thing with angles. If I want to show all 3 of these angles are equal, I would do this right here. That shows all 3 are equal. If I want to show 2 of them are equal, now these 2 are equal to each other. If I want to show all 3 different, now all 3 angles are different. Okay, does everybody understand that? Okay, does anybody have any questions about those tick marks and how to show congruency? All right, let's talk about classification. Classification. We can classify triangles in 2 different ways. Number 1, we can classify triangles by their angles. And number 2, we can classify a triangle by its sides. So one triangle has 2 classifications. So I could have a triangle that is a right scalene triangle. Just throwing words out there. Okay? So what you have to do is you have to decide what these are. All right? To classify triangles by their angles. We'll start out real simple. The number 1 way, here, I'm going to do this. Angle classification. There we go. Okay, number 1. We have right triangles. Now, don't be like other classes. You need to be smart here. How many angles make up how many right angles make up a right triangle? Think about it for a minute. If I have got 3 sides, I don't have 3 sides there yet, do I? But if I draw another right angle, how many sides am I going to have? I'm going to have 4 sides. So think about this. How many angles would you have that would be 90 degrees in a triangle? 1. Okay? So right triangles have 1 and only 1 90-degree angle. So if it's got a 90-degree angle in it, it is a right triangle. Okay? And you show 90 degrees by the little box if you remember. Okay? Number 2. acute triangles. In an acute triangle, you have all three angles must be acute. Okay, and what does acute mean? What does the word acute mean?
Oh, I forgot less than 90 degrees.
Less than 90 degrees. So all three angles in an acute triangle must be less than 90 degrees. So three angles less than 90 degrees. Okay? Number 3, obtuse triangle. Here's where it gets hairy. Because lots of people think that all three angles are obtuse.
No.
You can't do that. You can't even have two angles that are obtuse in an obtuse triangle. So you must have one and only one angle that's obtuse. And what does the word obtuse mean?
More than,
It means more than 90 degrees. So an obtuse triangle has one angle greater than 90 degrees. Okay? Now, all this is great and dandy, hallelujah, amen, angle classification. When you were a little bitty tot running around wiping dirt on yourself, y'all remember that?
No.
When y'all were running around sweating on the playground, playing on seesaw, doing stuff like that, did y'all sit around on your cell phone? Most of you, okay? Listen to me. You learn these three things. You've learned these three things before. You probably learned these three things when you were a 3rd or 4th grader. Okay? But I'm going to throw a new one in there. Number 4. Equiangular. Equiangular.
Equilateral. What's that?
Equiangular. We're talking about equiangular right now. Okay? In an equiangular triangle, all three angles are equal to each other. All three angles are equal to each other. Three angles equal. And I'll even go further than that. All three angles equal 60 degrees. Okay? That is classification of triangles by their angles. Now we're going to move to classification by their sides. Okay. B, classification by sides. Side classification. We'll start out with my favorite, equilateral. In an equilateral triangle, all sides are equal. Okay? All sides are equal.
Don't say nothing.
Now I want everybody to listen to me. An equilateral triangle will also be always an equiangular. And since it's equiangular, guess what else it is? It's acute. Because remember the definition, three angles less than 90 degrees. Well, if all angles are 60 degrees, guess what? Equiangular is acute is equilateral. So if you get a triangle that has a 60-degree angle on all three angles, guess what it is? By its sides, it's equilateral. By its angles, it's equiangular. And also acute. Okay? There we go, moving on. Number 2, you have a isosceles. here's a funky definition. Listen to me. In an isosceles triangle, at least two sides are equal. At least two sides are equal. All right. Here's where it gets weird. Y'all see equilateral? All equilateral triangles, which are equiangular, which are acute, all equilateral triangles fit the definition of isosceles. So if you have an equilateral triangle, you also have an isosceles triangle because it fits the definition. Okay? And when I say at least, I mean at least two or more. Okay? Number 3, scalene. In a scalene triangle, no sides are equal. All 3 sides are different. Okay? All right. So here's what your assignments here's what your assignment's going to look like today. All right, here we go. Please turn that down or off. You have a triangle. Okay? I want you to classify, here's the first way. Classify that triangle by its angles. What type of triangle do you have?
An acute.
An acute?
That's a right.
Are all 3 angles less than 90 degrees? No. Okay, so it would be a what? It would be a right triangle. Okay? Classify this triangle by its sides. What do you know? I know that's got a tick mark and that's got a tick mark, so that's 2 of them, right? So which one of those does that fit? Isosceles. So this, the third way, would be an isosceles right triangle. Okay? Now here's the fun one. Y'all ready? Here we go. What type of triangle is that by its sides and angles? I'll repeat that. What type of triangle is that by its sides and angles? I don't know nothing about the angles.
Equivalent.
It's acute, yes.
In the first.
It's equiangular. Why is it equiangular? Because if all the sides are equal, then all the angles are equal. And if the angles are equal, they're all 60. So it's acute, equiangular. What else is it? Equilateral. What else is it? It's one more. It's isosceles. So this triangle right here is an isosceles, equilateral, equiangular, acute triangle. Okay? Does everybody understand? Unit 4, day 1. Unit 4, day 1.